rescue responded to a multiple alarm structure fire on the 200 block of Windsor Street at around 4 a.m. this morning, which led to heavy fire damage. Upon arrival, heavy flames and smoke were encountered by the initial fire crews coming for a second floor bedroom. Then they employed a transitional fire attack to knock down the heavy flames on the second floor within 2 minutes of being on scene. Quick and aggressive efforts were followed into an interior fire attack, along with a search of the second and remaining levels to ensure everyone was out of the unit, which was found to be unoccupied. There was heavy fire damage to the home, but it was contained to the room of origin. A total of 6 pumper and rescue trucks, 1 aerial ladder, and 1 command vehicle were required at the incident to bring it under control, and the cause of fire is still under investigation. The Ontario The Ontario government has taken another step in twinning Highway 1117. The contract has officially been awarded to widen the highway from 2 to 4 lanes between Thunder Bay and Nipigon. The announcement was made by Provincial Cabinet Minister Greg Rickford, joined by Federal Minister Patty Hajdu, with the expansion having a price tag of $107 million. While the majority of the bill will fall on the province, the federal government will be contributing $30 million to the project. Minister Rickford explained more about the twinning of the 14.4 kilometer stretch of Highway 1117.
14 kilometers and expects to complete the project by 2026. The project includes building 2 new bridges over the Pearl River, which will improve road safety, reduce travel times, and create jobs in the region. Once complete, 70% of Highway 1117 between Thunder Bay and Nipigon will be a 4-lane highway.
The project is expected to create or sustain around 750 direct or indirect construction jobs. We'll have the full details on the Highway 1117 announcement on tomorrow's news hour at 11. Kiiwetinoong MPP Sol Mamakwa is once again calling for action due to the Red Lakes Hospital's emergency room closure last month, saying it is not an isolated problem. Mamakwa says families in the Northwest are facing a dire shortage of doctors, which has been seen with the Red Lake ER closing for 24 hours due to a lack of physicians. Several other hospitals in the region have also come close to closing their doors in recent years. Mamakwa says with the doctor shortage in the north, it's only a matter of time until more emergency departments will have to shut their doors as well.
This government knows the doctor shortage crisis in the north will lead to more emergency department closures. What is the government doing to ensure that hospitals in the north can keep their emergency rooms open?
The biggest thing that we're doing is increasing enrollment in our medical schools. So we have more doctors in the province of Ontario. We're adding another 160 undergraduate seats and 295 postgraduate positions over the next 5 years to make sure that we graduate more physicians, and that more will be in Northern Ontario, because the Northern Ontario School of Medicine is receiving 30 undergraduate seats and 41 postgraduate seats. That's going to go a long way to making sure that people who are trained in the north, that are from the north, will stay in the north and practice medicine thereafter.
Meanwhile, officials with the newly minted Nawsum University say their plans to expand enrollment and branch out to more communities could be a possible solution to the staffing shortages in Red Lake and other places. Adam Riley reports.
On March 27th, residents of Red Lake needing emergency care were forced to travel just over 2 hours to the Dryden Regional Health Centre for treatment. And while it was only temporary, the aftermath of the closure has had many speaking out about the lack of resources in the north. But officials with the newly created Nawsum University believe a locally sourced solution will work. Marathon's Dr. Sarah Newberry says a contributing factor to the situation has been the increased challenges to bring locums to the region.
Pandemic travel restrictions, as one example, have limited the ability of locums to travel to Northern Ontario. We have seen healthcare provider burnout. We know that it's harder to get both physicians and nurses in Northern Ontario now.
However, with it being the only dedicated medical school in all of Canada, Dr. Newberry says there will be a need to think of Nawsum in both a provincial and a national context. Nazem U's Dean Dr. Sarita Verma says Red Lake is not alone in its struggles.
It happened very urgently and it's extremely sad, but it's actually not uncommon for us to hear, for me to hear almost on a weekly or monthly basis from a community that's in crisis.
Dr. Verma says she's appreciative of the support from 40 municipalities across the province, which reached out to the provincial government and petitioned for an expanded number of seats for students at the university. Dr. Newberry agrees, but notes Nazem University shouldn't be the only place hospitals in the region recruit from.
Northern Ontario currently needs all the physicians that it can get from wherever they have trained as well. And I think that that is really the focus of communities that we're hearing from across the north, that they need physicians and they need great physicians, whether those physicians have trained at Nazem or elsewhere.
Adam Riley, TBT News.
The battle against potholes in Thunder Bay became more difficult this past week. Wednesday's snowstorm, followed by freezing rain on Thursday, was another setback for City Road staff, who had to focus on snow removal instead. The uncertain weather has made it difficult for the city to tackle pothole season in Thunder Bay. Large craters can be found on many local streets, as this has been the worst year for potholes in recent memory. City Road Supervisor Ian Spaljarek says they're doing what they can to stay on top of the issue, but the recent weather conditions are a factor to consider.
Because of the snowbanks and ice buildup along the curb, we're seeing some ponding water. So we have equipment out clearing those catch basins. We'll continue going forward, filling potholes and dealing with localized flooding as well because of the rain and snow and the melt that we've been getting. And we'll just see what comes next week and go from there.
Local motorists should still expect a bumpy ride on city roads for the foreseeable future, especially with more snow and rain in the forecast next week. Science North is looking for a permanent home in Thunder Bay, and it might be along the waterfront. The organization presented to City Council this past week regarding their plans to expand locally and in Kenora. A deputation was made from Science North alongside the head of the CEDC, who spoke about the impacts that a science center could have in the city. The agency currently reaches nearly 30,000 kids through school and public outreach per year, operating out of a small section of the Boys and Girls Club. With a standalone facility, officials estimate a reach of over 80,000 visitors per year. According to a report, a 34,000 square foot facility is feasible in Thunder Bay, though site selection has yet to be determined.
Strongly suggest that you do locate somewhere on that waterfront. We're putting the pieces together, and with the new art gallery and waterfront trail, cruise ships, it makes sense to put attractions where other attractions are.
That was obviously one of the sites that was interesting for us, and we actually identified that before we had understood fully what the opportunity was around cruise ships. So when we considered the economic impact numbers that you saw there, they were very conservative estimates and didn't even consider the upside potential that cruise ships would provide for that site.
The feasibility study predicts visitor spending upwards of $6 million. The new science center would employ 12 full-time permanent and 12 part-time workers. After a 2-year delay due to the pandemic, Thunder Bay was finally able to hold the 10th Polar Bear Plunge, which turned out to be a huge success. Hundreds showed up to support the plungers and charities, with the funds raised breaking records. Jessica Clement reports.
Almost 300 Thunder Bay residents came by to jump into the freezing waters of Lake Superior. However, things were a little different this year. Plunge teams were scheduled over a longer period throughout the day, and the event was live streamed to encourage spectators to watch the event from home. Event chair Ryan Gibson says it's exciting that so many people have come down to support the charities and plungers.
Coming out of COVID, I think people are ready to start doing stuff. There's an energy in the air. They want to see people. You can see people hanging around still, like they want to see their plungers. I think it just ties in the energy, and it's a nice way to go into spring, and it's awesome.
The excited energy could be felt by both the spectators and the plungers, and everybody was happy to be able to see each other after 2 years.
It's great to see everyone out here and smiling and having fun. Just to see the friendly smiles on the kids though when they see me, and I've seen lots of that today. So
it's great. I mean, I can't believe the turnout here and how much money they've raised. I mean, I just feel really glad to be part of it.
The event raised over $92,000, smashing their $50,000 fundraising goal and their previous record of $82,000. The money will be going towards the Special Olympics, Roots to Harvest, the CNIB, and for the first time, Pro Kids. Gibson says the Polar Plunge was a huge success, and he's grateful for how generous the Thunder Bay community is.
You know what? I think people in this city, honestly, just love to give back, first of all. So you've got all these worthy causes, and people are crazy here. They want to have a good time, they want to dress up, they want to see each other. And let's face it, you raise some money for a great cause, you come on down, you jump in the water. I've done it a number of times, it's easy. Then you get out, and you got something to talk about.
Jessica Clement, TBT News.
Now joined by sports anchor Kurt Black. Now the walleye, a problem in the regular season, now a problem in the playoffs.
Yeah, it was a very rough start to the second round for the North Stars, as and they got blown out pretty badly in game one. We'll see how they did in game two. Some redemption perhaps. We'll have those highlights right after the break.